Cachaça is the national spirit of Brazil and one of the most complex spirits on the planet. And in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about Novo Fogo Cachaça, one of the best brands that you can find right here in the US. Cachaça is not only just the national spirit of Brazil, it is also one of the most produced and consumed spirits on the... But in this video, I really just wanted to talk to you guys about Novo Fogo Cachaça, which is a brand of cachaça that I use a lot here at my restaurant and that I've really been obsessed with over the last year. So in this video, I want to kind of go over three key points. The first being what sets them apart from other cachaça producers, why I think the company is just so special, and lastly, I'm going to go through each of the different expressions that they offer to give you a better idea of what makes them. They are a producer of cachaça that have their farm and distillery in the south of Brazil in the state of Paraná. They are in a region known as the Atlantic rainforest. A lot of people don't know that Brazil actually has two different rainforests in the country. There's the Amazon, which is the one that gets all of the headlines, but there's also the Atlantic rainforest, which is further down the continent, which is, it actually encompasses a little bit of Paraná as well, which is really close to where their distillery and farm is. One of the first things that sets them apart from other cachaça producers is just that they have an excellent product. Out of all of the cachaças that I've tried over the last year, and I've tried many, we have over 20 different varieties here at the restaurant. They have one of the best, the most clean tasting cachaça, and just with the loveliest expressions and flavor profiles. And one of the biggest reasons why I believe that is their attention to detail. So to give you an idea, they are a USDA organically certified producer. Everything they do has an eye out for recycling and the environment. To backtrack a little bit, and it all starts at the beginning with them. It starts on their farm. They produce their own sugarcane on their own farm. They use the least amount of products as possible to cultivate and grow their sugarcane. Another thing that they do that's a little bit different than a lot of other cachaça producers in Brazil is that a lot of cachaça producers in Brazil, when they go to harvest the sugarcane, they will burn the field, which will kill a lot of the insects, and it'll kind of leave the sugarcane intact, but it ends up leaving it charred. It ends up causing a lot of issues. It just doesn't make for the greatest product. So they hand harvest. In other words, they have a guy going out with a machete, cutting down the individual stalks of sugarcane to get it ready for production. And so that already lends itself to a cleaner spirit. As a distillery, they are, like I said, hugely focused on the environment and sustainability. They are carbon negative, actually. So they actually, they get rid of more carbon than they produce. And one of the biggest ways that they do that is with their reforestation project. If any of you have watched my last video on the why cachaça is so complex and going over the different varieties, you'll remember that I said that there are over 28 different kinds of indigenous wood that can be used to age cachaça. And so while that's amazing and great, that actually has led to a lot of deforestation of Brazil as well. Brazil is one of the biggest culprits of deforestation in the whole world, and they've been regularly getting rid of more and more of both the Atlantic and the Amazon rainforest every year. It's really sad, and it's something that really hurts me as a Brazilian, and it should bother you as well, just because it's one of the most beautiful natural resources that we have, and it's slowly shrinking every single year. So unfortunately, cachaça production has contributed to that, but Novo Fogo made it their mission to not negatively impact it. So one of the biggest things that they are doing is they're working with this scientist to replant these almost extinct different species, and on their own farm, they are planting trees all of the time. It is a very noble and fantastic project that they have undertaken that I genuinely love so much. I'm gonna leave a link in the description if you wanna learn more about it. I just don't wanna dive too deep into this video because I do wanna get into other interesting things about them. And along those lines, in terms of recycling and sustainability, almost everything they do, they really do try to keep that in mind. So when you press sugarcane, the byproduct of that outside of the sugarcane juice is what's known as a bagaço, which is like just the leftover pieces of the shredded and pressed sugarcane. They actually use that to fuel all of the rest of the processes for distillation. So they burn it, and that steam that it creates is what powers a lot of the stuff at their distillery. Another thing that I find incredibly awesome is that these bottles are all recycled. Every single one of their bottles is made from recycled plastic, which I find awesome. So like I said, literally everything that they do has sustainability in mind. And that would be great in and of itself, but if you don't have a good product to match such a great brand story, it's just a cool story, you know? So let's dive into the different expressions that they make. So they regularly make 6 different expressions of their cachaça, as well as a couple of other special releases. So let's start from the top. Their silver cachaça is their unaged cachaça. So this comes off the still, they let it rest in stainless steel containers. This is perfect for caipirinhas. This actually just became the cachaça that I'm gonna be using for all of our caipirinhas, and it just became our well cachaça. It is a much higher quality than the other cachaça that we were using, and it's just, I love it so much that I wanted to make sure that we are using this the most. So it's a beautiful, clean drinking cachaça. It has notes of banana and different like grassier elements. It's an excellent, excellent silver cachaça. So moving along to their next expression, which is the Chameleon. This cachaça, they take essentially the silver cachaça and age it for just 1 year in oak. One of the things that I love about this cachaça is that it kind of exists in this middle ground between a unaged cachaça and what they consider their barrel-aged cachaça or other aged cachaças. Because it's only lightly aged, you kind of get the best of both worlds. You can make a caipirinha with this and it's excellent. You can also use it in other aged cachaça cocktails. They called it Chameleon because it can kind of fit in different places and kind of blend in. So I love using this in cocktails because it imparts that crispness from the cachaça, but also gives you some of the awesome elements of an aged cachaça as well. The next one I want to talk to you about is their barrel-aged cachaça. And this one spends 2 years in repurposed bourbon barrels. So they get these bourbon barrels here from the United States, they sand them and refinish them and then age this cachaça. So it ends up actually having a lot of similar flavor notes to a really well-made bourbon. So I find that incredible because if you like sipping bourbon, you would probably not think it's very different if you sipped this on the rocks. I love using the barrel-aged cachaça. You can make old fashions with this. You can use this in a Manhattan variation. This one's a really, really excellent cachaça, and it's just aged for 2 years in oak. It has notes of banana, different spices, that vanilla, that caramel that people get accustomed to from bourbon, and it has very, very similar flavors in this one as well. And now this is when things start to get a little bit interesting. We're gonna move into their 2 wood series here. Almost all of their cachaça spends at least 1 year in oak before they use a different wood to like finish it off. So they call it their 2 wood series. And what they found is that using oak as almost like a base layer for aging, it allows them to then take that aged cachaça and put it in a different barrel of indigenous wood, and that actually imparts the best flavors. Some of them just don't give off the best flavor to a unaged cachaça, but if you put it in oak first, they found that it gives them the best control over flavors and it brings out some of the best flavors in cachaça. The first one I want to talk to you about is the Colibri. It spends 1 year in oak barrels and then they transfer that to Amburana barrels. Amburana is an indigenous Brazilian wood that adds a really nice, soft, sweet flavor to cachaça, but because it spends about 1 year in oak, it creates this marvelous blending of flavors amongst those 2 different woods. It has notes of cinnamon, banana, kind of like passion fruit notes as well. It's a very fruity one because of the Amburana wood. It has an incredible flavor profile and it's really, really delicious as well. Now, for my favorite cachaça on this planet, this is the one that if you told me I could only pick one spirit to drink the rest of my life, it's gonna be this one. The Novo Fogo Tanager. Before I even talk to you about this spirit, just look at the color of this in comparison to the barrel-aged expression that they have. This is what a spirit looks like after it's been aged in oak. It's nice, golden. You've seen this color a lot before in spirits. This is deep red and very, 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 very cloudy. And why is that? Is that this first spends 1 year in oak to give it that base layer of flavor, and then they transfer this to a zebra wood barrel. And zebra wood is one of those indigenous, almost hard to find woods that is actually protected under Brazilian law. And so that deep red color comes from the barrel. It has very grassy and tropical notes to it. It has some cinnamon notes, some holiday spices. It actually reminds me a lot of just like a really good bourbon. I know I said that about the barrel age, but this one to me, if you put this over a rock, I could sip this all day. I don't even need to put this in a cocktail. Though, if you make a Sazerac out of this, it feels at home. Use a little bit of cinnamon, use this as your base spirit in a Sazerac, and this is just out of this world delicious. For you to make a spirit like this using a protected wood, you need to get it from a legal source. You can't just like find someone who had a barrel, because it's illegal to chop down these trees because they are getting near extinction. So these guys, if I remember correctly, they had a shed or something on their property that was made out of zebra wood, and they repurposed it as a barrel to age this in. And so it's just a wholly unique spirit, and I have yet to find another cachaça producer here in the United States that sells a cachaça that's aged in zebra wood. So as far as I know, Novo Fogo is the only one that sells something like this in the United States. I cannot tell you how much I love this spirit enough. I will sit here for hours and just gush over it. Now, the last expression of theirs that I have, and I actually don't have because the bottle is empty, is the Graciosa. This is the last expression of their 2 wood series, and this one is aged for 1 year in oak and then 1 year in Brazil nut wood barrels. The Brazil nut wood adds this creamy, delicious, velvety mouthfeel to the cachaça, while imparting notes of like chestnut, clove, a little bit of pecan even. This is one of the best, also probably the second best cachaça I've ever tasted. But my guests here at the restaurant apparently loved it a little bit too much, and so did I. Unfortunately, I can't seem to get any more of this at the moment. I've been bothering my distributor for months at this point, but they do not have any. And unfortunately, I just need to keep the empty bottle to remember this, because this one is absolutely delicious as well. Just for the memories, I guess. But there you have it, guys. I hope this video was insightful. I hope it gave you just a little bit of an intro into this amazing brand. I use it heavily on my cocktail menu, and I'm actually currently reworking the cocktail menu here at the restaurant to actually include more of these, because it's just such a well-made cachaça, from the quality of the production from start to finish, not to mention the ingenuity of using 2 different woods and the specific kinds of woods that they use to age these. There's no one like them. And I believe that for a lot of people who have never tried cachaça, there is kind of a misstep when you get into it, because there's a lot of bad brands out there that you may taste and go, oh my God, this is what cachaça tastes like. I never want to taste this ever again. But I promise you that if you start by tasting some Novo Fogo Cachaça, you'll understand why this spirit is one of the most complex on the planet, and just why it's so beloved by so many people. And on top of that, these guys just have an incredible story, and their mission is something that I can really get behind. And don't get me wrong, I'm not being paid to tell you this. This is just that as a Brazilian bartender and restaurant owner, one of the first things that I wanted to do was highlight and showcase the best products from my home country. And the fact that these guys make such an excellent product, and they've been so willing to work with me, and just, it's been so incredible. I really do believe that this is one of the best cachaça brands that you can find in the United States, and just the stuff that they make is incredible. I love good spirits. I love good, clean, organic spirits, and sustainability is something that's really important to me. So for those reasons, it's why I have a love affair with this brand. And don't get me wrong, if they wanted to partner with me and pay me, I am in. You don't even have to ask. I'm in. But I'm just letting you know that they did not pay me to make this video. But there you have it, guys. If you enjoyed this, please hit that like button and let me know. Have you tried Novo Fogo? Have you seen them around? They actually just released a line of canned caipirinhas that are actually pretty good. Let me know in the comments down below, and make sure you're hitting that like button and subscribing. We'll catch you in the next one.